Hey Denver home sellers, interested in selling your house by owner in the next 6 to 12 months and want to know the 3 top things you can do to be successful when doing so? This video is for you. Hey everybody, my name is Carl Eschenberg and I am your Denver real estate agent. In today's video, we're gonna talk about 3 secrets to selling your house by owner, not only quickly, but for maximum return. A lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about the for sale by owner process. A lot of people think it's harder than it actually is. A lot of people think they can't do it. You can do it. Don't let anyone tell you you can't. It is a lot of work. It is very complicated and there are things that you need to look out for. But in today's video, we're gonna talk about 3 things that you can do to make sure that that process is as smooth as possible. So let's just dive right in. All right, so 3 secrets for selling your home by owner fast and for maximum return. Your neighbors do not want you to know these things. Secret number 1 is proper pricing. You can do all the greatest marketing in the world, have so much exposure, it's almost ridiculous, have a parade going up and down your street every day with balloons hovering over your house. If the house isn't priced properly, one of 2 things is gonna happen. It's either gonna sell for too little and you're gonna lose money, or it's not gonna sell at all and you're gonna lose money. And let me clarify what I'm saying by that. Depending on your situation, if you need to sell your property, the longer it takes you to sell, you have holding costs. You have to pay insurance, you have to pay utilities, you have to pay your mortgage. All of those things are additional costs that will come out of your pocket during the sale process. So in order to sell the property fast and for maximum return, step 1 is making sure that we price the property effectively so that you can get the net that you need, not give it away, and not let it sit on the market too long so you're wasting money and actually wasting equity on additional payments that you don't need to make. So how do we do this? Number 1, research the local market. Please do not use Zillow. It is a marketing platform, and let me explain what I mean by that. Zillow is a platform that is designed to attract buyers and sellers to look at properties for sale and get real estate information, but their primary goal is to sell advertising. That's how they make their money. And one of the reasons that they do that, they do it in 2 ways. They sell advertising and then they sell the leads. You, as a consumer, they sell the leads back to us real estate agents for thousands and thousands of dollars. So they make a ton of money off of people getting their information and then asking for additional information, and they circle back to us and they sell the leads back to us, which is hilarious because we're the ones that gave them the listing information to begin with. It's kind of crazy, but anyways, the biggest problem with Zillow is that their data is wildly inaccurate. A national website cannot detect or adapt or move quickly enough to adjust for local market conditions, and local market conditions are all that matters. You've probably heard the saying, location, location, location. Well, that applies not only when you're buying a house, but it also applies when you're selling a house. So Zillow's data is not designed to be accurate. They do not own that data. They get that data, it's leased, purchased, or rented, if you will, from the local MLSs. So as we update information on the MLS, Zillow is supposed to update their data, but they don't. Websites like Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, Trulia, they do batch updates. They have only access to a certain amount of the data. They don't have access to everything. And so therefore it's super inaccurate. So when you see the Zestimate, we've seen Zestimates that were literally off by hundreds of thousands of dollars in both directions. We've seen Zestimates that were $100,000 less, and we've seen Zestimates that were $100,000 more. So that is not a reliable source for this data. So what is a good source? Government records. Real estate sales data is public information. So you have access to the information of what every property is sold for based on the way that it was registered once it was sold. So if you look at government websites that have that data, that is going to be your most accurate source of data, aside from getting it from a real estate agent. The fast way to get it is to get what's called a CMA, or a comparative market analysis, from a real estate agent. Please be sure to be honest with them and let them know that you're thinking about selling by owner. The good agents in the area will be happy to do it. If you're in the Denver area, I would be happy to do it. And you would say, well, why would you be happy to do that if I'm selling by owner? And that's a great question. And the answer is this: a rising tide lifts all boats. So if I help you get the most amount of money for your house, that's one more property that's sold for the right value that it should sell for in today's market. If I don't help you, or another agent doesn't help you, and let's say something goes wrong and you end up getting less money for your house than you could have or you should have, that affects the price of the properties and the value of the properties around you dramatically. Because appraisers may take your property sale price into account when they do appraisals on future properties that sell. So getting a CMA, or a comparative market analysis from an agent is a great way to get accurate price range for yourself, or you can do the work yourself and you can access public records. It's all free. You can get access to that information and look at the properties that sold. So the other thing you can do is consider getting a professional appraisal. So this is the absolute best way to ascertain the price of your property, is paying an appraiser to do so. So it will cost you some money on the front end, but you will get an incredibly accurate, up-to-date price estimate that you can confidently move forward, price your home for sale by owner, and have success in doing so. And then the third thing that's really important when it comes to pricing is not only to set your price right on the beginning. Again, you're not giving away your home. We don't want that. We want you to get what you need and get what you deserve for your home and get all of that equity out of your house without spending extra money and carrying costs and without selling the house for too low of a price. We also don't want you to price the property too high so it sits in the market for months and months and you lose that valuable equity by paying that overhead as you go through the selling process. So create a price adjustment strategy that's based on market. You don't have to guess. And I know it's your home and it can be an emotional process, but the worst thing you can do is put emotion when you're dealing with numbers. So when people come to look at the house or when they call on the house and they respond to your, maybe you have a flyer or you have a sign in the front yard, when you have those conversations, ask them what their opinion of price is. These are buyers that are actively in the market. They're in the market right now. They're looking at houses. Usually, if it's a serious buyer, they're looking at houses every other day, every week at least, so they know what houses like yours in the area are currently listed and selling for. So if they feel your price is too high, you'll start to hear that trend in these conversations. If the house is priced too high, they'll let you know, and then you can make price adjustments based on market data. And it's really about a strategy, right? It's not about just dumping the house and dropping the price dramatically. You can do incremental price adjustments and move the price down until you find that sweet spot for the marketplace. And remember, as your house is on the market, markets move. They move up, they move down. There's a seasonality curve involved in it. So depending on what time of year your house will sell, it'll sell for less or more than another time of year. There's also the general market trend overall. So these are all things you can take into consideration when you're deciding whether you should adjust your price at all, and if so, by how much. Okay, so I know that is a lot of information, and I know that's probably the most sensitive topic when it comes to selling your property is how much you're gonna sell it for, because that's your money. So I know that's a tremendous amount of information. If you have any questions at all, we are happy to answer them. We are licensed brokers in the state of Colorado. You can call, text us at the information on your screen, or you can scan that QR code and we'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have. Not a sales pitch, just literally, like I said, trying to do the right thing so that we all win in this incredibly competitive and dynamic market. So secret number one is effective pricing. If you have any questions on how to do that, we'd be happy to help you any way we can, including giving you an accurate, professional, comparative market analysis so that you've got numbers that you know you can trust. All right, let's jump back in. All right, so secret number one is pricing. Secret number two is stellar marketing. We live in an incredibly popular, competitive market. And while iPhones are great and the cameras have come so far, there's things that a professional photographer will do with real estate photography that the average user just can't do, and you can't do with an iPhone. So if you're super familiar with retouching and things like that, it might be something you want to tackle on your own. It could be a fun project to do. If you're inclined to do that, go ahead and do it. It can be a fun project. Just remember this, the quality of your photographs is going to directly influence the amount of people that see your property. So first it's where your property is, the price, so it's location. So where's the property? Then it's the price that you set. Now the next thing they're gonna do is they're gonna look at photos. And in today's market with the technology we have, your photos online, that's your first showing. So we always joke that when people are actually coming to the house for the first time, they're actually seeing it for the second time. So your goal with your photos is to capture their attention, build an emotional connection with the house so that they see things that they like and that the house is showcased in a way that makes sense. So professional quality photography is really, really critical to that. You can hire a professional photographer. Again, if you want a recommendation for a photographer that'll do a great job for you, just reach out. We'll be happy to put you in touch with our photographer. They do great work and they'll make amazing photos of your property so that people are interested in seeing it. The next thing you want to do for your marketing is tell a story with your written property description. When you list properties, whether you list it on a for sale by owner website or whether you list it on any of the other public websites, there's a lot of information there. So all of the bedrooms, bathrooms, the square footage, the dimensions, all of that stuff is typically listed in other places. So you really don't want to get into that when you're in the written description. The written description should tell a story about the house. Use emotionally connecting words. Don't exaggerate, but use words that evoke emotion. Cozy, warm, beautiful, open, spacious. Things like that go a long way to convey convey the feeling that someone will have when they're physically in the house. Because remember, at this point, all they have are the photos, which hopefully are really, really good, and now they're gonna look at the written description. And if that written description matches what they see in the photos and matches the emotion that they have when they look at those photos, that's gonna get you more showings, that's gonna get you more attention. And then thirdly, make the information instantly available. So consider doing something like not only having a sign in your front yard with your phone number on it, but maybe take those photos that you did and this beautiful description that you wrote and make a small flyer. You can do that on Canva. There's a variety of different websites that allow you to do that if you're feeling creative, or you can hire somebody to do it. On Fiverr is a great place to find things like that. There's a million ways to make flyers, but it's really just about having that description, the main attributes of the house, and those photos instantly available. There's things you can do with QR codes. There's a million different ways you can do it, but at a bare minimum, I would suggest a flyer in a flyer box on your sign, which would be amazing. So it's really just about getting the information in their hands as quickly as possible, and because if they're curious, they want more information. If you give them more information, they are more inclined to want to schedule a showing with you, and that's what you want. You want to get them through the house and get them in person. Okay, so that's secret number 2, stellar marketing. So we've done secret number 1, we've won the price war, and now we've won the beauty pageant. The next secret is effective negotiation. Now, this is one that a lot of folks have a hard time with. It's one of the reasons why working with professionals like agents, real estate agents and or attorneys is valuable, and why people pay for that service. It can be hard to be unbiased, this piece. The first rule of negotiation is the person in general, the person who cares the most typically loses. If this is an investment property, it's a different conversation, but if this is your primary residence, you have a history there. You have memories there, maybe you've raised your family there, but you've got family memories there, friend memories there, you have a ton of emotional attachment to it. And then on top of it, it's also your money. And whether we like to admit it or not as human beings, some of us can be really detached from that, but most of us have an emotional attachment to our finances. We've worked hard for that money. We've worked hard for the repairs that we've done on the house to bring the value up. We've worked hard to pay for the house over the years to build the equity that we have, and losing that can be a scary proposition, fears and emotions. So negotiation, the first rule of negotiation, just remember it's a business, and be prepared to negotiate. If you go into the process thinking that you're gonna put your house on the market and you're just gonna sell it like that and no one's gonna negotiate, it's a very rare market to do that. In Denver, it's been incredible. It's actually been almost crazy for the last several years. You put a house on the market and it just instantly sells, and in a lot of cases you have multiple offers, so the price is going up, not down. And it's important to remember that that is not the norm. And again, there's the general market trend on whether it's going up or down or leveling out, or sometimes there's a little dip. There's a big difference between a dip and a crash. There's a big difference between an adjustment and a crash. The market's not gonna crash. The market's not crashing. We're not worried about that. But the market is adjusting, and so it's important to remember and have your perspective set right, that when you list your house, it's probably going to be a negotiation process. So that means that you're gonna list the property, and then people are gonna come to you and they're gonna offer you less than what you may have asked, or they're gonna ask for other things. Maybe they'll ask for repairs, or they'll ask for concessions like a seller credit to cover closing costs and things like that. And these are all normal parts of the negotiation process. We take, as professional real estate brokers, we take entire courses to become certified negotiators, and that's because it's that complex. So it's one of those things where it doesn't have to be scary, but you just have to be open to the process. And so the main thing about once you're open about the process and open negotiating, the main thing you can do is to be patient and be open to compromise. So if they ask you for something, let's say they write you an offer and it's $15,000 less than you were asking, and then they ask for a $10,000 seller concession, and they asked you to repair a piece of the fence in the backyard, it's not the end of the world. That's just what they're asking for. That doesn't mean you have to give it to them. And where I see a lot of people make mistakes with this is they get upset because that emotional attachment to the house. It's normal. It's normal to feel that way, but if you let that interfere with your negotiation process, it's going to have a negative effect on your bottom line, most likely. So be open to negotiate, be prepared to negotiate, and then be open to compromise. So maybe you don't give them $15,000 off the ask price. Maybe you counter back and you say, okay, I'll give you $5,000 off the ask price. I will give you the concession, so that's still $15,000 in credits. Basically $15,000 in credits they're getting, $5,000 off of the ask price, and then $10,000 towards closing costs and prepaids. But you're not giving them everything, right? And maybe the fence repair is something that you might want to take a look at. So as a homeowner, it's important to remember something in your house that you may not have repaired while you've been living there. It might not be that important to you, right? But it might be important to someone else. So be open to their feelings and what's important to them and try to find that compromise between what's important to you and what's important to them, and you'll win almost every time. And then the last piece of negotiation, this is secret number 3, is get everything in writing. If it's not in writing, it doesn't exist. Even in our world where we do this all day, every day, I will have verbal negotiations with buyers and sellers. We will get a meeting of the minds and everyone will agree to the terms until it's in writing. And I mean in writing, dotting I's, crossing T's, everything's spelled out. It doesn't matter. So you want a legally binding contract, and those contracts they're generated by the state of Colorado, so they're standardized contracts. But when you get to the point of writing your own contracts, it's really important that you have somebody who is qualified to do that. Take a look at them, make sure that you're not missing anything, because there's a lot involved and there's a lot at stake. So we don't want you to have a situation where, as you're going through the closing process, you realize something was omitted or something was forgotten, and maybe that costs you money, or maybe that costs you something, or it could cost you the deal. So now the buyer loses the house, you lose the sale, and everybody loses. So get it in writing and make sure that you have it reviewed by an attorney. And there you have it. 3 secrets for selling your home by owner fast and for maximum return. So it can be done. Don't let people scare you away. It is complicated. I'm not going to sugarcoat that or anything like that. There's a reason why we have to go through the schooling that we do and the continuing education that we do, and why many of us invest in constant education and constant growth. It's because things are always changing, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. But you can sell your property by owner. But these are the 3 main things that if you were a family member or a friend of mine and you said, you know what, I'm just going to go it alone and do it by owner, these are the 3 things that I would tell you to focus on. Hopefully this was helpful. If you have any questions, again, we'd be happy to answer your questions. And we do have a seller's guide. It's a Denver home buyer seller's guide. It's free. You can text home seller to the number on your screen, or you can scan the QR code and we'll get you a home seller guide right away. We'd love to help you with that. It is packed full of information. It covers this stuff. It goes way more in detail on these 3 secrets. And then there's a whole bunch of additional information on how to sell your home. Whether you're working with an agent or whether you're working by yourself, it doesn't matter. Everything applies. So if you are working with an agent, that's a great way to hold them accountable and know what you're getting into and know what you're getting from them. And if you're doing it by owner, that's a great resource for you to be able to figure out exactly what to do so that you can be successful selling your house by owner. We do videos like this every week. And so if this was at all helpful for you, or if you're thinking about buying or selling property in Denver, the surrounding areas in the next 12 to 18 months, we'd love to help you with that. Think about subscribing and turn on notifications. We will be producing videos that are very timely. We have a great content calendar. We've got neighborhood tours coming up. We've got home tours coming up. We have a lot of great information that we're gonna be putting out. So by subscribing and turning on notifications, you'll be one of the first to know as things change in the market. We'll keep you posted, and it'll give you a huge competitive advantage over your competitors. All right, we'll be posting our next video next week. So in between now and the next time our video drops, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns or anything real estate related, you can drop a comment below. You can text us, email us, call us, anything you'd like, whatever's most comfortable. We do answer all of those inquiries personally, so we'll get you everything you need, make sure that you're really well cared for and that you're positioned to win. In between now and next Tuesday, if you absolutely positively have to get out and look at houses, my name's Carl Eschenberg, and I'd love to show you around town.